Howdy, and welcome to the Texas Bucket List, where the styles of yesterday will take you away. My name is Shane McAuliffe, and our first stop this week takes us to Temple to see a home ahead of its time that's still totally out of sight. In a historic neighborhood that's surprisingly a stone's throw from Interstate 35, sits a dead-end street with a few typical-looking houses from the late 50s. But one of these old homes will bring you back to a bygone era when laminate was king.
You're actually in a very experimental house.
Grace Jeffers is an expert on the material many used to lament, but not anymore.
I actually wrote my master's thesis on decorative plastic laminate from 1947 to 1964.
Okay.
Which some consider the golden age of laminate.
There was a golden age.
One could say that because that's when it was new, it was very expensive, really a prestige material.
When she first came across this historic home, full of the textiles she's familiar with, she was flabbergasted.
So I literally walked in the door over here, the back door, looked at the kitchen, and my jaw dropped because according to the Smithsonian, I was the expert, and everything in this house predated all of my research by at least 5 years.
Oh, wow. Built by Ralph Wilson, the founder of Wilson Art, this home was his private residence, a model home for his laminate company, and a place to test his latest creations, making it unique in a really unique way. That's why Wilson Art bought it and restored the home back to its original glory in 1997.
To have a perfect encapsulation of the late 50s, early 60s, you are hard-pressed to find that. So one of the more popular details in the house is the happy kitchen.
I feel like my last name should be Brady.
That's right. It looks a lot like the Brady Bunch, isn't it? And yet it predates the Brady Bunch.
That's amazing. That's how ahead of its time it was.
It was, actually, very much so.
Things that are the norm in today's homes were groundbreaking when built back in 1959.
This is where you are seeing certain details that had never been seen before in architecture. One is, this is the very first kitchen island in the state of Texas.
That's amazing. It's been said that colors affect people's moods, and in here, you can test that theory.
They come in here, they see the colors, and they're like, why don't I use more color in kitchen design? And actually, there are designers that are now designing more colorful kitchens because they've seen this house.
Interesting. Yeah, they always say what goes around comes around. Now, the 60s style never really came back around, I don't feel, but maybe it will.
Right.
The theme continues in the bathroom. It's a pink bathroom.
So one of people's favorite details in the house is the pink bathroom. And here we are in the pink bathroom. There is a whole cult following for pink bathrooms. So this is ours. And you really see that he was experimenting with some very new things. This is one of the first sunken tubs in the state of Texas.
Wow.
Notice how the mirror is installed directly in the middle of the sink.
Sure.
So in a way, they were trying to do a his and hers sink in a very different sort of way than any of us would.
It's very different.
It's very different.
Now, this home wouldn't be complete without a wall dedicated to the style of the early 60s. This is almost like 1950s bowling, you know?
Yes, yes, and it's odd to see it in a residence, right? He wanted it to be a fun experience. A lot of times, architectural historians, they get very serious, and it's like architecture, right? Like they hush the hushed sacred tones of architecture. But this is kind of like, woo, architecture! You know, like
groovy, man. One can only imagine how far out this house was. But in all her years of researching the reaches of design, Grace believes this style could have only been done in the Lone Star State.
This was made in the spirit of Texas, and we're going to maintain this and keep this going. And I really feel like this house encapsulates that energy and that spirit. It happened here in Texas because so many people had that can-do, let's innovate spirit.
So if you're looking for a laminate layer that still looks like the day it was laid down, the Wilson House is the home of your dreams on the Texas Bucket List.
It only exists because the company said, we're going to save this house. It's a perfect time capsule of a moment in history.